and welcome to Living Healthy and Aging Well. My name is Ken Hageland, and we are broadcasting from the AM 950 radio station that overlooks beautiful Bryant Lake Regional Park located in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. It is another great day here in the Twin Cities, and I am so grateful to be here with you today, and I hope all of you listening are doing well. We are on the air every Saturday from noon to 1 to talk about your health and your life. We cover a wide range of topics to help you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. We have another great show for you today. Joining me in a few minutes will be Pete Arnold, founder of Hire a Pro. And he is here to discuss how his innovative consulting model is transforming the roofing and construction industry. Drawing from over 15 years of experience in process improvement, project management, software development, including speaking at Harvard Medical School, Pete Arnold applies a customer-first approach to empower homeowners. Hire a Pro helps storm-damaged homeowners become their own general contractors, giving them control over their projects while saving thousands of dollars. And this is all done legally, and we'll talk about that during the show today. This unique model ensures transparency, eliminates unnecessary costs, and simplifies insurance-funded repairs. This revolutionary approach makes navigating the often overwhelming world of construction accessible, efficient, and financially rewarding for everyday homeowners. You will enjoy listening to my conversation today with Pete Arnold. All right. I want to thank all of you that leave us messages on our radio show phone line. We appreciate hearing from you, and we welcome your comments, questions, and topics for future shows. Also, if you are interested in being a guest on our radio show, please call or text us at 612-999-3426. You can also contact us on our website at livinghealthyradio.com. There you can find information about upcoming guests as well as listen to our previous shows. We look forward to hearing from you. We are also adding new listeners to the show each week, and we are so grateful for that, not only here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, but also throughout the country. You can find podcasts for all of our radio shows on the AM 950 radio website, and we can also be found on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and many other podcast and streaming services. And you can also watch our broadcast live on the radio station's Facebook page at AM 950 Radio. All right, if you have a question for us today, there are two ways to reach us. First, by calling the AM 950 radio station, and our friendly show engineer, Dan, will get your call on the air. Our phone number is 952-946-6205. Once again, 952-946-6205. Or you can directly text us your questions at 612-999-3426. Now, don't worry. If you missed our contact numbers, I'll repeat them throughout the show. All right. I am anxious to talk to Pete. I want to welcome him to the show. Welcome to the show, Pete.
Thanks, Ken.
All right. So Pete Arnold, founder of Hire a Pro. And actually, I hired a pro. I hired you a few months ago to help me out with some storm-related damage. And what a great experience. I thought, I got to get this guy on the show because I knew nothing about what we learned and did last fall. So anyway, welcome to the show. Before we begin our conversation about your business, the audience loves to hear a bit about your background. You know, who is this guy that wandered in off the street here?
Yeah, and I do want to make it a point to say, like, I don't intend for this to be like an infomercial or a sales thing. Like, you know, from dealing with me directly, like, I'm not a sales guy.
No.
And so part of the conversation here is I'd love to help people learn and inform them about the process and what goes on in the background, because that is what brought me into it. That was fascinating, and honestly, that I think is what helps people more than anything is the knowledge. But so my background, I spent a lot of my life, 15, 16 years in healthcare specifically. I implemented and developed medical record software. And for such a long time, I would go into a clinic and I would be that IT person that tells the doctors and nurses how to do not how to practice medicine, but rather how to change their process around practicing medicine to support that. So from a consultant, I would do a lot of advisory things with boards of directors and train doctors and nurses how to use the software in a way that didn't disrupt their patient care. So at one point, I got hired on by by one of my clients specifically, and relocated to Texas. And in that process, that company was in the process of getting bought by a VC company, and so, they just relocated me, but because of the timing and everything, they eliminated my position the day after we closed on a house. And then I was down here away from my family and my friends and my contacts and everything with 15 years of experience when people are looking for folks with 2 or 3. So it was tough for me to get a job. I remember interviewing with some of these places, they're like, well, we think you'd be bored here. I'm like, if you're paying, I can assure you I most certainly will not be bored. But, they didn't want somebody who was their boss's boss to do the job, anyway. So that's fine. So I ended up, I got to a point, especially after having the moving expenses and everything else, our savings was pretty well dwindled. And I went down the route of trying out the whole roofing thing, which I was not a fan of because let me tell you, Ken, and this is... It's really weird to say, but for somebody in the industry, in like the storm damage stuff, like I hate it. I hate everything about it. I hate the door knocking and the storm chasing, and I hate selling the whole bit. And it sounds funny, even working with you on your place, but what I love is I love helping people to learn. I love disrupting things that I think could be made better, and I love it when when the people have the power in the situation, And so after doing that for about a year, I moved back to Minnesota, and then while here, I'm like, it hailed on our house, and somebody was knocking an hour and a half after it hailed. You could literally pick up the ice on the ground and show it to the guy. You know what I mean? And I was just like, I was so upset about this, and only because I'm like, there's got to be a better way. And so that summer, I thought about it, and I'm like, because when it hails on the house of somebody who owns a roofing company, they do it themselves. That way, they can make the money. The insurance doesn't make you pick a competitor to do the work. Right. So you are allowed to profit on it, or rather, keep what insurance is compensating you. And I knew this from experience because, while I was running around down there and then came back to Minnesota, I got a GC license and all that. Mm-hmm. And so I knew, when it stormed on my house, I was going to take care of it myself. And so it hit me one day that if homeowners knew how they could GC their own project, they could handle it themselves, because the roof and siding is super, super simple. And most people just don't know what material to order. They don't have a crew to hire of subs, or they don't want to get up on the roof and do it themselves. But, when it comes to a general contractor or a roofing company, they don't actually do all of that themselves anyway. They hire subs, and they have a person running around getting the materials and all of that stuff. The person who owns the roofing company doesn't do all of those things. So I'm like, well, what if I could empower homeowners to do that, And I went through the process, and to make sure that it was okay, I talked to a Minnesota business attorney that vetted my entire process. I submitted my contracts to the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry and all of that so they could look at it. And I also talked with Minnesota residential insurance providers, like actual agents that know their policy and know how insurance works, to make sure that everything was above board. And when I confirmed it all, then I dove into it 110%. My wife does it with me as well, primarily, and we came up with a process, and we worked out the kinks. The first couple homeowners that I worked through with this on, even you, and you're not the first person I've worked on, but I'm like, I'm making stuff better, so could I try this out on you and try that,
I love that. I love the entrepreneurial, let's be innovative.
Yeah. And so I'm constantly adapting this and tweaking it, it's been going great. I actually just ran the numbers yesterday from 2024, and our average homeowner between 23 and 24 has kept on average $6,000 from what insurance has compensated them of their insurance claim for their project, and that's money that would have been profit to a roofing company. And so and everything's by the book. Like, did you know in Minnesota, you as somebody who doesn't have a license can legally build one house and sell one house, your own constructed home, once every 2 years? Most people don't know that you can do that, but you can. And so there are lots of people that make a living. They'll build one house every 2 years, make $100,000, 150, whatever, and then they'll do it again. And you can do that without a license. And when it comes to this roofing stuff, there are pieces of it where if you pay a crew on your roof to do the work, that way you're not doing it yourselves, they do have to have insurance and licensing. Right. There are certain materials that have to go. All of these things, all of this busy talking stuff around how it's done is all stuff that I can help the homeowner delegate. Yeah. And that's, like, in your experience, that's really what happened, right?
Right.
Like, I showed you what we were delegating. I showed you who we were delegating it to. Yeah. And in the end, you had, an hour and a half worth of work? Getting the permit was probably the hardest part.
Well, and again, it was you made it sound so simple. And I'll talk about that when we get back from break here. All right, folks, it's time for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Pete Arnold, founder of Hire a Pro, and he is sharing how his innovative consulting model is transforming the roofing and construction industry, and how storm-damaged homeowners can become their own general contractor, giving them control over their projects while saving thousands of dollars legally. All right. If you have a question for Pete, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or you can text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Hageland, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well. All right, welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Hageland, and joining me today is a friend of mine, Pete Arnold, founder of Hire a Pro, and he is sharing how his innovative consulting model is transforming the roofing and construction industry, and how storm-damaged homeowners can become their own general contractor, giving them control over their repair projects while saving thousands of dollars. If you have a question for us, please give us a call. This is a fascinating subject. I just learned about it myself a few months ago. And so if you have a question, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. Pete, how can our listeners contact you or your team if they have questions or want more information?
Oh, sure. Well, I've got a website, and there's two ways I can say it. One of them is hirea.pro, so www.hirea.pro, not .com, but .pro.
Right.
Or if you go to disruptroofing.com, that will bring you to the website too.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, they can give me a call, and the numbers are on the website too, but it's 651-402-3400. Or they can just email me at pete@hirea.pro. But yeah, really check out the website. That'll give you everything.
Well, then you can see Pete and his team, and again, it was absolutely a fascinating process. I learned a lot. There wasn't much to learn actually, but I did learn a lot.
Right.
And it was I tell you, it was actually fun. And I was right before we went on break here. You had asked the question about how much time did I spend. It was less than an hour. I mean, and that was actually going. Mm-hmm. Because the permitting, the online permitting at the city that I live in, was currently under construction for a week.
Oh yeah.
And so I'd log on, and you gave me all the you gave me the link. You sent me the link to log in on, and it was down for whatever they were upgrading things. So I just went 5 blocks to City Hall and said, "Hey, I need to get a permit for a roof repair. They said, oh, yeah, no problem. Here's the form to fill
Yeah.
out. And, again, it's not like a typical governmental form where it's pages and pages. It was really my address, who I am, phone number, email address,
Yep.
so they can email me the permit,
Right.
and we're good to go. I mean, it was again surprising how easy it was
Yeah.
to just get the process going to really become my own general contractor.
Well, that's the thing. So, like, look, I've never had a lot of money, right? And so when something of mine broke, my choices were always pay someone money that it was felt exorbitant to fix something, or fix it myself. And so after working on cars for a while and whatnot, like I had a problem with a furnace that stopped working, and instead of calling an HVAC person, I looked at it like, well, the furnace costs, it's less than the car that I work on, that I depend on, so maybe I can figure it out. And so I'd go in and spend $200 repairing something rather than paying somebody $1,500, and so some of this is just a barrier of knowledge, and there are some things that are so simple. You can learn how to do it on YouTube nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
And people will do it, follow along, and this is no different. With a little bit of guidance, it's really not that big of a deal.
Well, I think what's just so innovative, though, is that you make it simple for a person. It's not like, hey, here's the YouTube link. No, you actually work with the homeowner. And again, your extensive knowledge about
Right.
Insurance repairs and all that, the industry, is so helpful. So again, it's not like you're doing it on your own. You're there as a consultant. You're
Yeah.
consulting, and it's makes it so simple.
And I like when we did it with yours, you got to see everything, and
Yeah.
and that's the same process with
transparent.
everybody else. I didn't know that you had a radio show at the time. You know what I mean? Like I just,
I just had a roof that needed to
right.
be replaced.
Yeah.
I had hail damage.
Yeah, and so the fun thing about it is I really set it up so that once a homeowner goes through it once, as long as they have a crew to hire, you could do it yourself without me.
Right.
That's how I know I did a good job explaining it.
Yeah.
And I've had repeat customers. I mean, like it's hailed in Becker and Becker and Monticello a couple years in a row here, and I do have return customers. But even right from the start, I tell everyone, it's so you could do it yourself without me. The idea is to empower you and to make sure that you know what's going on, because in the end, the primary thing that you're doing is delegating responsibilities. I queue up the material order through Home Depot, and so all you have to do is call and pay for the materials directly. And so there's no markup in there,
Right.
just like there is going through
and it's nice that when you pay directly, you know exactly what the cost is, and there's no
Yep.
mystery. There's no overhead.
Yep.
There's no margin. It's just that's the cost. And in fact, I walked into Home Depot locally here in Apple Valley because I wanted to see what the colors were, the color selection, and it was great. You said, "Hey, I really think this is the color shingle. It'll be great for your home." It was a little bit different than the one that was on there.
Yeah.
So I went to Home Depot, check it out, and you know what? You are right on. That was a perfect shingle, because that was a decision I didn't even think I had to make. Is, well, what color shingle?
Yeah.
And you came out and gave your opinion. Again, it was an opinion. You
Yeah.
said, do what you want to do. But it was so simple. And when I placed, you said, here, call this guy, and here's the project number or whatever your name, and boy, in the next 2 days they dropped off the shingles, and
Yeah.
the crew was there, and I mean it went flawless. It
Yeah.
was amazing how simple that was.
Yeah, and so like in general, the entire looking at the inside of a roofing company. Maybe I can talk about that after the
In
break.
the next segment, yeah.
But because then I can really show people that it really isn't that hard. Like it's if a 23-year-old riding a lifted F-250 can be a project manager for a roofing company. The people who are knocking doors, right? Like anybody can do it. Right. And I'm not trying to get down on people who knock doors as much as I know myself. I don't like to deal with it as a homeowner, But in the end, whether or not you do this knowledge and this information will help to empower you for any types of these interactions in the future. And that just feels better. I would rather lose a job from somebody being too honest than gain one for telling 95% the truth.
Being dishonest, or no question.
So it's about principle, and people can totally handle it. But yeah.
Yeah. No, it was a great experience, which is why I love having you on the show to talk about it, because again, it was a new. I put it off. Just I don't know if I told you this. I put off doing the whole roofing thing because
okay.
I had there's in our neighborhood, there's plenty of people that drive by all the time. And here's the thing, they can go back in time and see when the hail hit your house. I mean, it's that specific. It's house specific to tell you, because I didn't even know if I had any damage, and someone drove by and said, "Hey, this neighborhood had hail damage." And
these storm damage reports. So the manufacturer that makes the shingles, believe it or not, will send construction companies reports of where it hailed. Right?
Oh, sure, to sell the shingles.
Yeah, because it's in their best interest, right? And so, and I have access to all that too, and I'll show it to people. But the websites will show you down to the house, like on the street level, down to the house where hail hit and what size. And so they have all this figured out.
All right. Well, when we get back, we'll talk some more about this. This is just fascinating. It's time for a short break, folks. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Pete Arnold, founder of Hire a Pro, and he is sharing how his innovative consulting model is helping homeowners save thousands of dollars. If you have a question for Pete, please give us a call at 952-946-6205 or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Hageland, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well. Welcome back. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. And today we're trying to help you save money too, for those that have a little inkling to be a DIY. Not much, just a little willingness to just step out of your comfort zone. And so anyway, my name is Ken Hageland, and joining me today is Pete Arnold, founder of Hire a Pro, and he's sharing his model of how to help homeowners maybe save thousands of dollars. And he just talked about the statistics over the last 2 years of him doing this, and the average homeowner is saving over $6,000 on their roof repair that was incurred through insurance funding. In my case, it was a hail damage, and I saved more than $6,000. So it was a great experience. Before we return to our conversation with Pete, though, I want to mention this radio show is brought to you in part each week by Minnesota Hospice. Minnesota Hospice is an independent, locally owned medical practice serving our Twin Cities communities with comprehensive end-of-life health care. The team at Minnesota Hospice provides patients and family members with award-winning end-of-life health care services. In fact, they're one of the few in Minnesota that is actually a 5-star Medicare-rated hospice program. So that's important. Check on Medicare.gov and see what hospices are serving your community and what their star rating is. And you may not be aware that hospice brings compassionate medical, social, emotional, and spiritual services right to your home with typically no cost to you or your loved ones. If you have any questions regarding end-of-life care or support, please contact the compassionate team of experts at Minnesota Hospice. They are available to answer your questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A registered nurse is there standing by to answer your questions 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Their phone number is 952-898-1022. Once again, 952-898-1022, or visit them online at minnesotahospice.com. If you have a question for us today, please give us a call here at the station, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. Pete, how can our listeners contact you and your team if they have questions or want more information?
Sure. So they can visit our website at hirea.pro. That's .com, or that's .pro, not .com. Hirea.pro, or they can give me a call at 651-402-3400. That literally rings the phone in my pocket. So no call center.
Right. I tell you, I've had more business owners on the show here over the years, especially after COVID, where they say, you know what, I get my own phone calls.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't. Right, people have call service, and I get that. But you know, having run a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week operation, there's nothing like having your own colleagues answer the phone, or you know, your own team, because they know
Yeah.
what to do, and again, they have vested interest in making sure that people are educated, and that's what you're doing with people is you're helping educate them.
Yeah.
Again, you know, if people don't have to do this, this is an option.
Yeah.
I want to make sure people know if you have any inclination to just get a little bit more involved
Yeah.
in a very significant project. I
Well-
mean, these projects, these roof repairs or siding repairs, I mean, they're not. I mean, they're tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
They're significant. I mean,
Yeah, our average the average insurance claim that went through us in the last 2 years worth of claims was about $23,000, and that includes little houses that might have been 15, all the way up to the biggest roof I did was about 64 grand,
wow.
which was a big big house.
Yeah,
But-
I think ours was like 40-some thousand.
Yeah, it was up there.
Yeah. It was. I was shocked.
And that wasn't necessarily because of the size of the house, but your roof has a pitch to
Right.
it, and so the crew has to get compensated extra for dealing with the safety and all of that stuff, and that's kind of a fun thing with our okay. So here, let me before I get ahead of myself, let me talk for a second about how this all works, like how the industry works,
Yep.
right? You have an insurance company that will compensate a homeowner for loss because insurance's purpose is to indemnify you from a financial loss. It's not to fix your roof. It's to make sure that the thing that you spent money on does not devalue, right? And so when you incur a certain amount of damage, insurance will compensate you for that loss. And in some policies, they'll give you a little bit, and then when you actually repair it, when you that's called a recoverable depreciation policy. So they'll actually pay you extra to compensate you for the entire amount of the repair to restore your home. So insurance is never paying the homeowner. The homeowner's never profiting out of insurance. When the homeowner gives that money to somebody else, that company is then profiting. That's a different thing. Homeowners being compensated, right? And so you have a right to general contract your own projects. There are projects all of the time where you've got interior work done, and you now need to hire someone to do the plumbing and the electrical and the floor and the painting and the cabinets because you might have
drywall, yeah.
had a kitchen problem, right?
right.
And so you as the homeowner, instead of paying a GC to do all of that, you can deal with that for you, and insurance is compensating you for the loss as long as you get it repaired. That's what they're paying for, and insurance sets the price. It's not like, and granted, some companies can set a price, but from the homeowner's perspective, insurance sets the price, and the work gets done for the price insurance says. So that's super important. Now, in the case of like roofing or exterior damage, the contractor then will agree to the price that insurance sets, and that's actually, there's a Minnesota law that says, it's statute 325E.66 that says a contractor has to do it for insurance proceeds and they cannot incentivize. When a roofing company says that it is illegal for a homeowner to profit on a claim, that's what they're talking about. And they're twisting it a little bit to say that this is why you have to give us as a company all of the money for the claim. That's why they can't cover deductibles. They can't incentivize you, right? But what we do isn't from the standpoint of a contractor. We are helping you to GC your own project, and then we are using our experience in order to line you up with crews that are dependable and warranty their work and are licensed and have insurance and all of that. So that way you're not getting like a chuck in a truck. You're getting it from a licensed and insured general contracting company that just gives you the labor. And then you get a warranty too because of that. So from the standpoint of the roofing company, you know, when they get a roofing job, they hire a subcontractor to do the work. They pay a commission to the sales guy to act as a project manager, and then they make the profit on the job after buying materials. And roofing profits tend to be around 80 to 120%. So on a $30,000 claim, the company is probably making 15 grand, just round number. And then of that profit, they're paying a percentage to the sales guy as a commission, usually between 35 and 50%. So on a $15,000 claim, they'll take out a little for overhead for running the business. So they might say, oh, we've got $2,000 in overhead, so then we're going to split 13 grand, and they'll give 35 to 50% of that to the sales guy. So on a $30,000 house, the sales guy is probably making $6,500, $7,000, and then the roofing company is making the rest. the crew that did the work actually gets around 25% of that money. So the actual people who are actually up there doing the work are getting less than the material costs are. Okay, so what we do, we actually pay the crews, or I'm sorry, we don't pay the crews. The companies that we have agreements with to provide labor pay the crews about 35% more than they make working for another roofing company. So that's a lot of fun, and they love working with this process because they get compensated so much more for it. And then in the event that there is an issue, because people are human, right? Or maybe a roof was installed and the next day there's wind, heavy wind, and the adhesives haven't cured yet. The crews that work through this system are really anxious to get out there and take care of stuff because they really like being paid 30% more than average. So it's just better for everybody. And then in the end, the homeowner gets to keep the money that a roofing company would have taken as profit. The homeowner still pays for the labor, they pay for the materials, they pay for the permit, and they get reimbursed from all of that from the insurance company.
Right.
And the insurance company sets the price of the repair and pays out once the work is done. So that's really it. A roofing company, like you can't hire a general contracting company straight up to do all of this for you and get money left over. That is what's not legal. But when you act as your own GC, when you get the permit in your name and everything else, and you have a company that backs you in the same capacity, then all of this is by the book. And so, and that's one of the big things that I kind of struggle with is that it sounds too good to be true at first. And if you go to a roofing company and say, hey, these guys told me that I could profit on my roof. Does that work? They're going to say, no, only we can profit on your roof. So it's like doing your taxes correctly. If you know the rules and you know the laws and you know what you can do, you can write certain things off and you can buy a pickup truck for your business or whatever. You just sometimes having a CPA to guide you through the taxes is very much in your benefit. And so that's what we do. We act as we consult and we help you through the process. You pay us for it, right? Like but nobody works for free. But in doing so, you're acting as the GC now, and you're keeping the money that that company would have made after paying out all their expenses and their project manager. So, I just and the fun thing with it, and from talking to me that I'm very much like I'm like a storm. I'm like a brute force. You know what you're getting,
Right.
like there are no secrets. It just is what it is. Yeah. And love it or hate it, I'm being 100% honest. My mom always told me if you are 95% truthful with somebody, you're still lying to them, right? And so that's how all of us and our entire team operate. And so in the end, if someone has like a storm damage claim from last year that they haven't dealt with yet, give us a call, hit us up, and we can show you how the cake is made. And if you would rather pick somebody with no transparency who takes all the money, but then at the same time has, you can hand it off to them and just have them do it, then that's fine. You'll know exactly what you're getting into. But you're never going to get this information from a contractor because they tend to make so much off of the claim that it doesn't feel good if you knew how much, So, and look, I'm trying not to talk bad about these other guys. We offer a different service. We offer a different way to do it. We're I'm sure an HVAC company wouldn't like it if you helped people repair their own furnaces, or I'm sure the dealership wouldn't like it if you helped people service their own cars. All of those things are not in the best interest of those companies, but it is a solution that some people really dig. And
I think they're getting more comfortable. I mean, every ad you see from Home Depot is about DIYers. It's people doing things themselves. And I think, that's kind of a lost art to a certain extent because everything is so specialized now. Back when I was a kid, to work on the engine in your car, you just go in and sit in the engine compartment because there's so much space in there.
Yeah.
And you change the distributor or you change the spark plugs, whatever. Yeah. Well, now it's a lot more complicated. There's not more things to it, but still, like you say, if you get the YouTube video up, they'll show you, I'll walk you through step by step how to do things.
Yeah, knowledge is power.
Yeah, it is. All right, folks, it's time for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Pete Arnold, founder of Hire a Pro. and he's sharing how his innovative consulting model is transforming the roofing and construction industry, and how storm-damaged homeowners can become their own general contractor, giving them control over their projects while saving thousands of dollars. If you have a question, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Hageland, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well. All right, welcome back. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. And my name is Ken Hageland, and joining me today is Pete Arnold, founder of Hire a Pro. And we've been talking about enjoying your quality of life by becoming your own general contractor.
Yeah.
And so if you have any storm-damaged repairs to make, Pete's a great guy. Just give him a call and ask him, well, what's involved and how would I do this? And so if you have a question for us, folks, this is last segment, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. Pete, how do people get a hold of you if they have questions or want more information?
Sure. So our website is hirea.pro, not .com, .pro, or disruptroofing.com. Or they can always give me a call. Numbers on the website at Hire a Pro, but they can give me a call at 651-402-3400, or they can text me there too. I'm very text friendly.
Yes, and you're very responsive.
Yep.
I texted and called you, and you were great to work with.
Yeah.
First of all, I mean, just what a kind person you are. You're not the typical maybe, I don't know, construction guy. You have great interpersonal skills, and it was just really fun to work with you and your team. Your wife, the people on your staff, just all great to work with. So people, don't be afraid to give this guy with a deep voice a call. No, because he really wants to see that the project is in your best interest.
Yeah.
And so again, if you're curious, you want to learn a little bit and be able to tell at the next party that you're your own general contractor for your project,
Yeah.
and this is the way to do it.
My dream here coming up, and I know this seems kind of silly, but the next step for my business, for Hire a Pro, is to get a retail location. Because and not because I need it. We do so much stuff remotely. I mean, heck, even you like mailed me checks. You know what I mean?
Right.
To pay for certain things or whatever. And which really tells you, because I have a lot of customers. I have several customers, Ken, that I've never met in person. You know what I mean? But at the same time, there's still success stories, and that's really weird in this space. Mm-hmm. No one is going to be writing out a check to some person who calls over the phone and says, "Hey, have you gotten your roof looked at yet?" You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that in itself, probably can tell people what kind of openness and transparency that I have, that folks are comfortable doing that. And I'm not saying people have to, but what I'm saying is I don't need a retail space, but I think it would be good because it would allow people, when it hails or when it storms on their house and when they get an insurance claim, which you can have insurance look at your house without a construction person there. I'll talk about that in a second. But then you can bring your claim in. My goal is to make it so you can bring your claim into us and we can review it with you right then and there, and show you exactly how the cake is made. And then you can make a decision. You can always go with somebody else, or at least this way you know what's going on. So my background isn't, like I haven't done construction since I was, 9 with my dad kind of stuff. I was a computer guy. I worked in IT. I did change management. I improved processes professionally for multi-million-dollar organizations. And then here, I'm like, there's a better way to do this, and people aren't thinking about it, Mm-hmm. And so, when I talk about the transparency of it, it really is set up in a way where you can see exactly how everything works. And look, it's going to hail in Minnesota again. It does all of the time. And the only thing I ask is just if anybody is curious how this works, even if you don't trust it, let me show you how it works. Let me show you on your claim before you make a decision and go with somebody. Because then at least, even if you pick somebody else, at least you'll know how it works. So, yeah.
So where do you see things going down the road? Because I'm so fascinated by how much people are doing things themselves. I don't know if it's a function of the economy or if it's a function of COVID where people, you couldn't bring people in your home.
Right.
So people got, I got to get this fixed. I got to fix that leaky faucet. Well, I'll just go on YouTube,
right,
and I'll figure it out.
Insurance is changing how they deal with this kind of stuff too, because insurance companies are tightening their belts. They're offering more policies that are not replacement cost value; they're more actual cash value. What that means is, right now when it hails on your roof, if you have a replacement cost value, insurance pays what it costs to replace that today. If you have an actual cash value policy, insurance pays what the roof is worth today. It's like when your car gets in an accident, they don't pay you enough to buy a brand new car. They pay you whatever it's worth right now today, which means you might not get that car, even though it was brand new when you bought it. So because of the policy changes, like there's one customer that we helped out with where they had an actual cash value policy. It was the total amount for the project was $35,000. Insurance kept $16,000 of it. So they only between the deductible and the actual cash value, they only distributed $20,000 out of $35,000. And that person was able to get it done. Their total out of pocket was about $5,000 because we still need to get paid, right? But they got a $35,000 project completed for $10,000 less. And when a contractor does it, they have to do it for insurance proceeds per Minnesota statute 325E.66. And so they're not able to make those kinds of deals. And to be quite honest, there are a lot of jobs, like especially cash jobs. With cash jobs, I'll do it where I show people this is labor, this is material, there's no profit on it. Let's talk about what you want me to make on the project. Because for me, at that point, it's not about the money. It's about doing it in a way where you as the homeowner feel like you know exactly what's going on, and I would rather better your situation than better a competitor. You know what I mean? So there are jobs I've done for, I won't say how little, but very, very little, because it's in the best interest of the people and growing the awareness. So.
Well, in the last minute here, I just want to, you mentioned some things about insurance. People should be aware that their deductible may be different for wind and hail damage. I learned that on my insurance policy. You may have a deductible of $1,000 for other incidental things, but maybe the wind and hail is $5,000 or $10,000.
Right.
So you really need to understand both replacement cost and actual cost, but also then how does that deductible apply to that type of a claim and that type of a loss? Yeah.
And if anybody wants information on that, while I cannot speak to policies because I'm not licensed to do so, I can certainly refer you to trustworthy people who will explain to you how that works, or you can always contact your adjuster or your insurance agent. But yeah, it's always good to kind of review that, or even hit us up and ask us what you should be aware of. That way you know what questions to ask your provider.
Yeah.
And you'll know.
Yeah. No, I tell you, it was great working with you. You helped me understand the process. You guided us, through the process. And like I said, for Geico, 15 minutes saves you 15%. Mm-hmm. Well, it was about an hour of my time, and it saved thousands of dollars. Yeah. So I mean, it worked out really well. Again, it was a pleasure working with you because you really walked me through the steps throughout the process, and it was really no mystery.
Well, we can always do it together. That's the key.
And that was the great thing about it. It was fun to do it.
Yep.
All right.
I'm glad to help.
We're nearing the end of the show, folks. I want to thank Pete Arnold, founder of Hire a Pro, for sharing his wisdom here on the show about how to become your own general contractor for insurance-funded repairs. Pete, how can our listeners contact you if they have more questions or want more information?
Website hirea.pro, not .com, .pro. Or give me a call at 651-402-3400. Text friendly too.
All right. Pete, thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed today's show, folks. Please contact us with any questions or comments you have regarding today's conversation. You can reach us anytime by voice or text at 612-999-3426. Join us again next Saturday for Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life. Until next time, choose to live well.